So right here is my 2020 Model 3, and it's covered in snow right now. I've been driving in the snow, it's just covered. But we are going to take these regular handles and hopefully change them for my EV Offer self-presenting door handles. So inside the box you have is your package, which contains 4 different cables, a main power cable, and I might need these little spacers. It just depends on when I get the original handles off, what information is printed on them. It'll tell me if I need the handles or not. And so inside you have your control ECU. So it says front left, front right, rear right. And then you have your 4 handles here, which build quality feels pretty good. It feels solid, pretty light. So some of the tools I'm going to be using is I have a flashlight in case I need it, electrical tape for fishing a wire, long straight screwdriver, little wire cutter to do some stuff, some masking tape, which I'm going to probably put on the window to mark where it is. I have some different size sockets in here, some pry tools, and I needed some Torx bits. I need specifically a T20 and a T30, of course an impact drill, and then I got some lubricant here, which should help me when I'm fishing the wires, which is probably going to be the hardest part. We'll see. So we're going to get started here. Now before I get carried away, I learned a lesson. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the mats and I'm going to take off some panels here. And I'm just going to do a dry install, meaning I'm just going to plug the ECU into here. There's a port for it, hopefully. And then I'm going to plug one of the handles in, and just to confirm that I have power before I go crazy and rip the entire car apart. When I put in the hand show speaker activation mod, which is supposed to activate the tweeter here, as well as the speaker up here, and then the 2 in the back. It worked, and it took a lot of messing around to get it going. Yeah, my floor mats are dirty. It's winter. It happens. Had it all installed, fished the wires all through the pillars here, and it was a nice clean install, only to find out that the GPS voice was completely muffled. It sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher. So had I done a dry install and just kind of plugged everything in before routing all the wires, I probably could have saved myself a couple hours worth of work, only to have to remove it. So we're gonna try that and see what happens. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is gonna take this part off beside the glove box. You just kind of pry in, pop it out, and it kind of just pulls right out. It's pretty easy. Then this here, there's a little pin you got to pull out. So we're just going to use that to pop it out. Okay, so that gets the main part. And then this is hard to do with one hand, but I'll try my best. And then that should pull straight out, which it does. I'm going to set that down. And then this, you can usually just pull it straight out, I think. Or no, you pull it from this side, and it just kind of pops right out pretty easily. And you just kind of pull it right out, and it just comes out of these clips here quite easily, actually. Okay, so there's some foam parts on it, but it just pulls out. Very simple. Okay, so the instructions say that there's a blue plug here that you plug the ECU into, and then it says on some 2020 and older models, it will be on the driver's side. So when you go over to the driver's side, you see that blue plug. But no, that's not it. And I was starting to get frustrated thinking they sent me the wrong plug. They did not. I finally found it. It's up in here. I don't know how well you can see it, but anyway, this is the harness. Normally this one goes into here, but it's up in here. So right beside the glove box in between this spot here. I don't know how well you can see that. Into the MCU. And then I'm just doing my dry run, so I'll just push on it and look at that. So I do have power, so it's going to work. So now I can start taking things apart. That probably honestly took me at least 45 minutes of frustration trying to search, and in the meantime I was trying to contact support and say, hey, did you send me the wrong plug? And then I didn't hear back, so I just kept looking and looking, then started to look up, because like I say, the instructions say it's around here or somewhere in here, but that's not right. It's up in there. Thank goodness. All right, I'm gonna continue. Okay, so now that I got that sorted out, I can start taking this door apart. So what I have to do is, this is on the handle. Again, this is really hard to do with one hand, but just use a little pry tool and just stick this underneath, pop that out, and we'll set it aside. And that just exposes Torque's bit. I'm guessing that's a 20 or a 30, I can't tell, but I have both. And then I have to take off. Oh, the reflector's already gone. Okay, well, all right, apparently I've lost that. All right, so that saves me one thing. I guess I'll have to get one from Tesla, just because why wouldn't I? And then there is one underneath the door here. On some of the newer models, I think there's actually a light there, but I'm gonna take those off for now. Next, I need to take off the tweeter, so I'm gonna pry this up. I think that's what I wanna do. Try to do it with one hand. So then there's a wire on the tweeter, and I don't think I can take it out with one hand. It doesn't look like there's anything that you need to really pinch on this one. Maybe. So I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna set the phone down because I don't think I can do that with one hand. Okay, so disconnecting the tweeter is actually not as hard as I thought. You literally just hold on to this part of it here, right in here, and pull. It's in there pretty good. I thought there was like something you'd have to push in to get it out, but you just have to pull on it. But obviously make sure you're holding on to this part, not the wires, and of the actual tweeter itself, where it gets connected, right in there. Make sure you're holding that tight because it's in there pretty snug, but it just pulls straight out. Next, you wanna use your pry tool to slide it in here and get some pressure until you can get your hands in here. And you really gotta pull pretty hard. You think you're gonna rip the door off. You kind of wanna rip it up, but you can see I'm getting in here. So now I'm gonna set the phone down and try to lift it straight out and see if there's any surprises.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, so it came off pretty easily once I got it started. So there's some harnesses holding it. So I'm gonna have to, I think, disconnect all of these. And we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna start disconnecting wires and I'll be back. Okay, so now there's a bunch of these bolts around here. It's an 8mm. I'm gonna try and take this out. In a lot of the other videos I saw, they were disconnecting all these wires in here. I don't know if I necessarily have to do that. We'll see if I can work around them. And I don't know, I may not be able to, I might have to, but we'll see. Because one thing I haven't figured out just yet that none of the videos touched on is this is the manual door release. Not quite sure how that comes out, and if I can avoid messing around with it, I'm gonna do that. So we'll see. Okay, so all these wires are connected. So there's more screws, bolts around here you gotta take out. And then I think that's about all that you need. And this, yeah, it looks like a nightmare to disconnect, so I'm gonna just work around it. So then there's 2 plugs here. I took one out. There's one here, and then one over here. That's for the window. So what you want to do is in the door catch, the mechanism there, just push it in with a screwdriver or something which will lift the window, so that way you can access it with a socket. I think it's a 10 mil, maybe. No, it's bigger than that. I'll have to see what it is. Otherwise it'll be down here and you can't access it. So I've done that. I've also marked the window with tape, and I cut it here on both sides so it should line up. And then I did it here to do the vertical, so hopefully I can get it bang on. So I'm gonna remove the 2 bolts, and then I should be able to pull the window out, hopefully. Okay, once you get those 2, they're actually 13 mil bolts out, you can then get access to pull the window straight up. So I've got the window out, and this is where I'm at. So now I'm going to try and reach inside here and see if I can disconnect some things for the original door handle and see how that goes. So hard to say what you can see with the light, but I'll try and shine it so you can see it, hopefully. Maybe I gotta go from this angle. Okay. So right there, I think, yeah. It's hard to see, but there's a wiring harness that connects to the door latch. So I'm gonna take that harness off. It looks like you just push in and pull it straight out. And then I believe there are 3 bolts. Those do look like they're, I know I said the last one was a 10 mil, but I actually think that is a 10 mil. So anyway, I'm gonna disconnect the wire harness back there, which I can't do with one hand while filming. And then see if I can disconnect the bolts, and then in theory it should be able to come right out, so we'll see. Okay, reaching up in to unplug that wiring harness is absolutely brutal. It's really hard to fit your hand in there. I found the best thing to do is use a long thin screwdriver, and at the top you can see the red thing, kind of poke at it and push it down, and then with one hand once you see the top part of the wire harness. I can't show you with the camera right now because I just can't get in there. Anyway, there's a little top red part. You'll see it go underneath a horizontal cross, we'll say, just a horizontal piece. Once that disappears, below the horizontal piece, you can see it. Use the screwdriver to push it in, and then just kind of wiggle and pull down with your hand. That was not fun. All right, now I'm gonna see if I can get a 10 mil in here and go at this and see what happens. One thing that other videos did not show is like this beam in here, which is, if this wasn't here, this would be so much easier to reach up in. But I don't recall seeing this bar in any of the install videos. If that was not there, no problem. But that thing is brutal. So yeah, we'll see how fun it is to get at the handle now. Okay, once you get the 3 10 mil out, you can kind of pull it in, and then you got to kind of pull it down and get it through. It wasn't the easiest. So now what I have to do is just point it to it. This little track, whatever this is, I have to pop this out and transfer it over and disconnect this thing and put it on the other one. And then I got to check if I need to use the spacer or not. I can't remember it. Certain ones you have to. I gotta double check. Okay, so this little sensor, I had to double check. It's supposed to say either CN on it. That would mean I don't have to replace the sensor with those little spacer thingies, but this one does not have CN, as in Canadian. It's from Mexico, so I will have to put the little, I guess it's kind of like a spacer gasket, little metal thing. I'll show it to you in a minute once I get this off. That's probably a T20 or T30 Torx bit. screw to take that off, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so this is the little thing I got to put on. So it just kind of sits here. It's actually magnetized, so this is handy. So it's going to just sit in there. Sorry, right there. And then I'm going to set this on here and screw it back in. And then we'll go from there. And on the back side of the original one, by the way, I had a silver or chrome one because mine's pre-2021, and I'd put the carbon fiber, whatever. It's not skin, it's like anyway, the little cover on it. Like I say, you got to take this little part off, put on, it's on the back. There's these little pins here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So I'm just going to push them in with a screwdriver and push down, and hopefully that thing pops out. So we'll be back. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of push in right here and then push in down on there. I got to set the phone down. I can't do this with one hand. Okay, so it's starting to come out, and this is actually the first thing that has not been a nightmare to take out. It's actually come out pretty easily. So we're just going to see if I can finish prying it out. Since I popped it, yeah, it just kind of pulls out. Okay. 2, 3. Okay, that was okay. And we'll put it on the other one and see. Okay, so I've transferred it to the new one. I'm not going to take off this plastic protector yet because I want to put the handle back in first. And it was kind of tight getting it out, so I don't want to scratch it right off the bat, although that may happen. So I'm going to try my best not to. In all honesty, I might put something else over it, some tape, just extra protection, just in case, because it was tight getting it out. And then so once I do that, I have to put the 3 10 mils back in, one here, and then one up top. Reconnect the that red or purple connector, and then this is the actual harness. Connect that to that, and then I can start fishing the wire and then put the door back. So I will be back once I get this in and connected, and we'll see how it goes. But I don't think I need to explain more of that. It's self-explanatory. It might be challenging though, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have this installed. Not easy to get it screwed in, that's for sure. Very challenging. What a nightmare. Anyway, so now what I'm gonna do is I have the wire hooked in here. I'm gonna try and figure out how to get this conduit off and see if I can start fishing the wire through. And then once I do that, I can put everything back together. And I presume the first one is definitely the hardest. We'll see how it goes from here. Okay, so today we are going to do the rear door installation. I ran out of time the other day. I definitely underestimated how much time this would take. But you know, the first ones come out just fine. You can unlock the car with the app or the touch screen and they'll pop out, or use Bluetooth. So the first thing I'm gonna do for the back is I'm gonna mark the windows with the tape in the up position, and then open the door. The window will drop a few inches, and I'm going to also mark it for the lower position, which makes it so much easier to line up. I learned that after the first door, although I did mark it with tape. I only marked it in the up position, not in the down position. I found that added a lot more time lining it up had I marked it for both. So when I did the the front driver's door, I marked it for both, and it was so much easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And what I did is I've put an arrow, so these are marked for the up position, and then I just took my knife and cut it, scored across it, did both sides, and then I'm gonna do the same with the window. I'm gonna open the door, drop it, mark it for the drop position, same thing. So now you can see that when it's in the up position, they line up perfectly. When they're drop position, there's that gap, but as soon as I drop the window, those line up. So that way, no matter what position I have the window in, I'll be able to line it up perfectly. So I'm gonna get started. So it's similar to before. I gotta remove a pin here, which is the same as the front, and another one underneath here. There is no rear deflector to take off, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. And if there's any surprises that are different from the front, I will come back and tell you. If not, there's no need for you to watch me take out 2 screws. Okay, so the back comes off pretty easily. So a few noticeable differences is you have the speaker here that you can disconnect, as well as the puddle light down here, and then that you can connect to here. So what I think I'm actually going to do is let's see here, just disconnect this here, which shouldn't be too hard. Oh, I'm not even showing, so I'm going to disconnect that speaker and the puddle light, and then I got to trace whatever this else goes into, disconnect that, and then take this all off. It should be a little bit easier than just working around it. We'll see. Depends on what's behind the insulation here. I haven't pulled it out yet, but we'll have a look, and I'll let you know what I did. Okay, so pulling back the insulation. So this harness here that comes from here, I'm gonna disconnect it right here, which looks like a simple push in and pull out. Probably easier with 2 hands, so I'm not gonna do that at the moment. And then that comes to the speaker, and then it branches off into 2 other branches here and here, and then the puddle light. So I'm going to disconnect all of this, and I will be back. Okay, so those were very easy to disconnect. This part here is like it's like a plug. You got to just twist it to pull it out. Don't just pull it straight out. It seems to work better if you turn it, pull it out. These 2 just pull straight out. Very simple. This one here, it's like the puddle. Well, actually, it's not like kind of like the puddle light. You just push in on this little part here. When you depress that, it slides right out. And then I disconnected this from there. I probably didn't actually have to do that. So you know what? Let's just plug it back in, because it didn't seem to be holding anything. So then I just have my, I think these were 10 mils. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. And then I guess some little brackets here. They also look like 10 mils. Another one here. So I'm gonna take these all out and see what's in here. And then we'll see if we can go ahead and get at the window. And I'll probably have to take off this little gasket protector here too. Usually just have plugs in the side that you pull out, yeah. And then it should just come straight out relatively easily. We'll see. Might need I'll have the other side too. Pull them, and then it just comes right out. No big deal. So this is the inner belt, is what it's called. Tesla inner belt rear. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, just a correction. These bolts that I said there's 9 of them are 8 mils, and these ones are 10. So I'm gonna start taking them off, and I'll be back. Okay, I may have made a mistake. So, didn't realize it, but there's plugs that go in here, which would have obviously let you access the window. And I went ahead and pulled this out, and then the window, it didn't drop. It lowered, but very slowly. I'm thinking I should have went about this a better way. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take the window out and then try to reposition things. But I think what I should have done is pulled those plugs out and taken the window out first and then pulled this off. So we'll see how much of a pain in the ass it is to line back up. I'm thinking if I take the window out, it's not too bad. So this has got quite a bit of play to it. You can lift it. So we'll play around and see what happens. Learning curve, right? They don't show you this in the other tutorials. Okay, so yeah, it was definitely a mistake not taking the window out first, but that's okay. So basically, these tracks are what hold the window. You just have to make sure the wire's wrapped around here, and hopefully everything will be fine. And we'll see when I put it back. To take out this handle, it's actually a lot easier. Not sure if you can see down in here. Maybe if I have a light. Anyway, connector. It's actually easier from the top, right there. You just use a thin screwdriver and just push in and straight down. It actually pops out quite nicely. And then there's the 3 10mm bolts, which I can access from these 3 holes. One here, and one here. So I'm gonna take those out. Okay, I will say removing the rear handles is so much easier than the front. Matter of seconds. Same thing. I'm going to take this little plastic trim thing off and transfer it onto the other one. And then again, behind here, this little guy here, I'm going to put the little spacer thingy in there and then go from there. Start running the wire, and hopefully this isn't too much of a nightmare to put back. I really hope not. It has to happen one way or the other, so we'll see. Next thing you want to do, I didn't show it, but just take my pry tool, stick it in here, and just pry this part off, because I then have to take this out, and so I pushed the front seat all the way up. So I just gotta check this out. There might be a bolt holding it. I'm not sure just yet, but I'm gonna inspect it, and if there's a bolt holding this in here somewhere, I'll let you know. I don't see anything, but I'm gonna carefully check. This is just a little guard that holds the seatbelt in place. I took off my gloves for this because I want to clean hands, just because of the light material. I don't want to get grease stains on it. Because what I have to do is run the wire, fish it through here, in through the, I guess this is the A pillar, and then I'm gonna have to run it down and across the bottom and into the ECU. So hopefully it's not too bad. We are gonna find out. Okay, so just an update. It's not held in. It's just got these little clips here that go in these little holes, and that's it. So I was able to just kind of pull it off. I don't know if I need to pull it all the way off. We'll see. Probably do, but we'll see. But anyway, in behind here, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but right in there, that white little ring is where I have to fish it through. So what I'm gonna do is, in here, is I'm gonna pry this off here, run it through here, and in through there. So we'll see what's involved with that. Hopefully it's easier in the front. Probably not. The front was an absolute nightmare, I'm not gonna lie. That was definitely the worst part of the whole job. We'll see what happens. Okay, so the harness, you can see, comes in, so you can get the light, it comes in there from the door, and it runs all the way down in here. And it looks like this does have to come off. There's a little pin there, so I'm gonna pull that off, which will then allow me to run the wire underneath, and then I can kind of run it all the way across, and then up in here. I actually have the ECU tucked right there. It actually fits pretty good, so that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so this one's actually a little easier to fish because you can kind of make it almost, you can play with it a bit, make it somewhat vertical. And I actually used 2 zip ties from the top. I taped them together and I just ran it through the bottom. So it was actually a lot easier to fish. So same thing, I'm gonna run the cable along the bottom through here, tape it to here, spray it with some lubricant, pull it through and out through here. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I got the wire fished through. This is difficult with one hand, so here, what I'm gonna do
Maybe I should come around to the back. Let's do that instead. So what I'm gonna do is it's coming in here. I'm gonna run it back down through here and just out. Yeah, because actually, you know what? I can just run it along this to the front. That's what I'm gonna do. What I did is I just zip tied it here, and then it's gonna go along the bottom here. So my flashlight, just follow this around and up in there, right up into the ECU. So I plugged it into the ECU. So now let's just test it out, and it's working. Wonderful. So now I got to put the window assembly back together, which I'm really not looking forward to. I think this is going to be a lot more work than I want. Lesson learned. Open up your eyes, take out these plugs, take the window out, and well, I'm not sure. You may have to deal with this regardless. I'll find it on the other one. Okay, so turned out to be a huge mistake. How this is wired for the window mechanism, honestly, I can't seem to figure this out. So I gotta take the other door apart. I'm gonna do it differently, take a look at it, and then put it back. I realized I made a big mistake though. What I should have done is, as I said, I took those plugs out and rolled the window down, you know, a little bit, and there they are, right there and there. So I'm gonna take that out, take the glass out, take this off. Well, isn't that funny? It's actually missing a bolt. I haven't touched it, so all right, well, within spec. And then this time I'm not taking these bolts out if I don't have to. I really hope I don't. I don't know. See what happens here, I guess. And at the very least, hopefully I can get a look at the mechanism and put it back together, because right now I have no idea. Okay, under no circumstances, and I mean no circumstances, should you remove these 4 bolts. Right there. Where's the other one? One down here. And this guy right there. Do not remove those, or this whole window regulator module falls apart. These wires were a complete nightmare to try and figure out how it went in. I did get it, thank goodness, but that was very stressful. Yeah, don't do that. Okay, so now I have all this put back in here. So what I'm gonna do is connect the door regulator in here, and then this sucker just kind of, I don't even know, just clips in here. I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Maybe. Yes, I can. So that just clips in right in here, sorta. Come on. This is so much harder with one hand than you guys think. Okay, so it just clips in there. That. Okay. So that's clipped in there. So next, I'm going to connect the door to this. Actually, no, I'm going to put the window in first. So I got to line these up just a bit higher and put the glass in, and we'll be good to go, hopefully. Okay, the window is back in. I lined it up. It's working. Everything's fine. So, for example, let me just kind of hang these wires if I can. So they don't go anywhere. Okay. Oh, well, I had the window down a bit. So anyway, they work. So I'm happy with this. So I'm gonna put this back together and move on and not make that mistake again, because that was absolutely awful, but at least you know what not to do. Again, as a reminder, that one, that one, that one, and that one, do not touch. Ever. Do not touch those. I will say the back ones are so much easier to work with when you take this panel off properly, not touching those 4 screws. It's so much easier. Like, you literally, through here, here, and there, you can just use like an extension socket wrench there, something like that with the 10 mil. And it's so easy in and out. So now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna run the wire down in through here, fish it through here, take this out, take that out. I'm gonna put the seat forward and then backwards, take the mat out, run it, and it should be good. Okay, this one I got lucky. When I started pulling off it, the whole thing just came off. So I'm just gonna go with that. I'm not gonna take the top part off. I'll just let it hang. I really don't need that much play because I got the wires fished through. So I'm just gonna run it through here, down and across, and hide it. Then I'm gonna run it through the center console at the bottom, in behind the carpets and into the ECU, and then we should be good to go. Finished product. When I walk to the car, they present themselves. And then you can go through, have them red, yellow, although it doesn't pick it up that great at night with the camera, green, awesome. Pretty happy with that. A lot of work to do those. But it's done.
So when you unlock the car, handles come out, lock the car, and then put the signal on, and they light up as well. Then unlock the car. It's working perfectly now.